Hi, Jessica. How are you doing today?
Good. How are you?
Good, good. So what is it that you'd like to work on for the next 15 minutes or so?
Well, I kind of have a problem with when I get angry, I tend to lose my temper and sometimes overreact, raise my voice, get really aggressive and overly frustrated, rather than handling my anger in a way that would be more calm and understandable for other people.
Okay, so you feel like your anger is maybe a little bit out of control and you need to control it a little bit more in a calm way?
Yeah, I think that I think I don't all the time am out of control. Like I often, have worked on realizing that I'm getting angry, and
that's really good.
So I think it's not always that I'm out of control, but there are times when I feel like I just can't control it.
Okay.
And I feel like it's hopefully less often than often.
Right. So you're just trying to get to a point where you feel like you have a control over your anger.
All the time.
All the time.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, great. Yeah, that's definitely something that we can work on. What are some things that you've done in the past that have helped you to control your anger?
Well, I try and take some deep breaths and be more patient, and try and be more understanding of why other people may be acting or saying the things that they said. I try really hard not to raise my voice and just
That's really good.
take pause for a minute.
Yeah, that's great. And it's great that you have the goal to even have more control over your anger. I think that's wonderful. So if you were to go to bed tonight, and in the middle of the night a miracle had happened, and you wake up tomorrow and your anger was under control, totally, like you said, how do you think your life would be different?
Well, I think I'd be a lot better at communicating with other people, both on the listening end. I'd be able to listen a lot more clearly, and also take the time to explain myself more clearly, so that those that I interact with or have gotten angry with in the past would be able to understand maybe my frustrations, so that I don't get even more angry and more heated and more aggressive.
Okay, so you feel like your communication skill would be better, and people would probably be better able to understand you.
Right, and I would be better able to understand other people, because sometimes when I get angry, it's because I don't understand where other people are coming from.
Okay. So maybe like the term blinded by anger kind of, maybe would fit, I don't know,
Yes.
in a situation like this. Okay, that's great. So think back to last time you were angry. On a scale from 1 to 10, with 1 being you lost control of your anger, and 10 being you had total control of your anger, where do you feel like you were on that scale?
Well, probably the last time that I was angry, I was probably around an 8 or 9, like I had pretty good control. But the time before that, I got pretty angry, so I'd probably be closer to a 4, I'd say. I wasn't as angry as I've ever gotten, but I did raise my voice and was irrational. So.
Okay. All right. So what we'd like to do is to help you so that it's always a 10. You always have perfect control over your anger. So what are things that maybe were the differences between that time when you were a 9 or a 10 and the time that you were a 4?
Well, I was really tired. It was after a long day, and I had a whole bunch of meetings, some unexpected meetings, and the time I was a 4, that's the time that I had some unexpected things come up, and I didn't listen to my husband when he was talking to me, and even when I did listen, it didn't really matter because I was still angry at whatever answer he gave me. So that time it was just, I was really tired, and that was probably the biggest thing. I was kind of frustrated with other things that had happened that day, and it all just kind of piled onto each other. And then the time that I was a 9 or a 10, I wasn't tired, and I was able to just kind of take a deep breath and just work things out. So in my mind, so I didn't lose my temper. So I was more rational.
Okay. So that time you're a 9 or 10, you're able to think about it a little bit better.
Right. And I wasn't tired. I didn't have other things that had seemed to all compile onto each other.
Okay.
Either.
Okay. So you mentioned that your thoughts were maybe a little more rational.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. What do you think are some things that you can do to help your thoughts to be more rational?
Well, I think a lot of times it's just taking a second to think about it will make your thoughts more rational. But if there's a lot of things frustrating me, then there's a lot of things going through my mind. So even if I take a minute, it's got to be a lot longer than just a couple of seconds, because I have to take a few minutes to really think things through, because it's a lot of different things that are bothering me.
Okay, I see. So how do you feel when you're angry, and how is it different than when you're not angry? Maybe how do you feel differently when you're angry, and how do you recognize your anger?
Well, I feel agitated probably is the first thing, and sometimes it feels like I want to blurt something out, so I either stop it, or if I'm not controlling myself, then I don't stop.
Okay.
And I would blurt something out that probably isn't very nice, so it probably just starts as the agitation a little bit, and then I kind of have to make a choice, and sometimes I don't make the choice to wait a second, and it just comes out. And feel hot probably is the physical.
So you maybe have that physical reaction.
Right, I feel
that you can
hot
recognize
if I get
them.
really angry. But that's not normally until after I raise my voice.
I see. Okay. What are some situations that you find yourself in when your anger is under control? When you feel like you have control of your anger?
Well, I probably have more control of my anger with my daughter than with my husband. Like, I'm a lot more patient with her, and I don't want to be angry around her. I don't want to be angry around my husband either, but I feel like he could understand anger more. So that's one, like, just the person, sometimes I'm able to control it more. But also, if I'm not tired, if I've been able to kind of have a scheduled day, that helps a lot. Lots of unexpected things. I don't mind being busy, but if I have lots of unexpected things come up that all at once, that makes things frustrating, either for myself or for a family member that I was expecting to be around, and all of a sudden they're gone for the whole day or something. Those situations are when I lose my temper, but I'm able to control it. Not every time, but I'm more likely to, but I'm able to control it a lot more if I have been able to know, kind of plan on what's coming, and then if something comes up that I get angry, I'm not so frantic and going back and forth thinking about so many things.
So maybe, like, when you have a plan, you feel like you're a little bit more able to deal with your anger, or you just don't get angry when you have a plan?
I'm able to deal with it because, like, one thing comes at a time. So if there's a whole bunch of things that make me angry all at once, which normally happens if it's not as planned, if my day's not as planned, all these things start coming up, then that's more difficult. But if it's planned, then if something makes me angry, in the morning time, then I'm able to deal with it, and then by the time something else could potentially make me angry, then I don't lose my temper because it doesn't bother me as much because I've already dealt with the other problems or issues.
Okay. So I'll tell you right now, at the end of this, I'm going to give you some homework to do, maybe an experiment to try to maybe help you to get your number to be a 10 more often. Does that make sense, to move away from a 10? So you mentioned that's one thing that you do is if you can take a minute and think about your anger, then you can think about your state, then you can, that can help you to control your anger. So maybe a homework that I can give to you, an experiment that you can try, would be to, have you ever heard of people counting to 10 when they sometimes get angry?
I have,
before?
yeah.
Okay. So maybe in this next week, and I'll ask you about it when you come back for your follow-up appointment, I'll ask you how you did. But if during this week when you feel yourself getting angry, if you can stop and count to 10 and just make a note of how things improved by taking a moment to think about it. So do you think you can do that? Will you do that?
I'll try and do that.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's great. It's something that's doable. Even though it seems like maybe a small step, it really is a step in the right direction. And you mentioned it yourself. If I can take time to think about it, then hopefully we can make this into a habit, and that your anger, can be under control more often, and you can see some of that effect. So do you think that is some homework that could actually help you?
I think it could. I think maybe we could try something else also, because I try already to kind of pause a little bit, but maybe the extended, all the way counting to 10, not just for a couple seconds, will be good.
Okay.
But maybe.
Well, maybe is there something else that you had in mind that could help you out?
I don't know.
Okay. I mean, that's okay. I just thought if you had something that you thought maybe could help you a little bit more, then you can try it, or we can try that this week and figure out how that works out for you. And then if we need to try something else next week, then that's great. We can do that. We're just taking little steps, and hopefully they can make a big difference and at least keep you moving in the right direction, because it sounds like you've already been doing really well. In doing that. So you've mentioned that when you're able to plan things, you are able to control your anger a little bit better. What are some ways that you think you could set yourself up, maybe at the beginning of the day, to not get angry?
Well, one is to plan my day out, of course, but then maybe also when things do come up, leave time open for being able to do those things that could potentially come up. Kind of have two options of what to do at a certain time of day rather than only one. And so there's a kind of a plan for more things going on during the day.
Yeah, that's a great idea. So if you maybe have an idea of what could happen during the day, have two options of what could happen, then you feel like you could maybe have a better mindset in order to deal with your anger and control your anger. That's great. How does you having your anger under control affect those around you?
Well, I feel like they're more patient with me, and they're more understanding, and most of the time they're more willing to listen to me when my anger's under control, and I feel like they want to be around me more.
Mm-hmm. Is that something you want?
That is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, great. This small step, I think, is something that you can definitely do and work towards.
Yeah.
So, thank you for coming in today.